Shri Amit Bansal, officers from Ministry of Steel, Jindal Stainless, other dignitaries, and media friends. Today we will see inauguration of India's first hydrogen plant in the stainless steel sector. I invite Shri Abhyuday Jindal, MD Jindal Stainless Steel, for his welcome remarks.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Respected Honorable Minister of Steel and Civil Aviation, Government of India, Shri Jyoti Aditya Scindia ji, Secretary Ministry of Steel, Shri Nagendra Nath Sinha ji, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. I am grateful to the Honorable Minister for inaugurating India's first green hydrogen plant in the stainless steel sector as a step towards the decarbonization of the stainless steel manufacturing process. I want to start by saying that while combating climate change is definitely the need of the hour, the responsibility rests on all of us to us inhibiting the planet. We stand at a crucial juncture, and on behalf of the industry, this is the time to hold ourselves accountable and make a commitment to positively contribute towards the cause. And sir, I assure you of our commitment. Jindal Stainless has long recognized the urgent need for a transition towards clean energy. Active participants and contributors towards the global clean energy revolution, the development of this green hydrogen plant through a partnership with Hygenco cements our pledge towards sustainability, responsibility, and a reduction of our carbon footprint. Our commitment to sustainability goes beyond this plant. It is woven into the fabric of everything we do, from our manufacturing process to our production innovations. Within the manufacturing landscape, we have been making consistent and diligent efforts to achieve net zero emissions, tying in with India's ambitious sustainability targets. We have prepared a sustainability roadmap for the future with an initial investment of Rs 700 crores towards various projects, and our effort will take us closer towards our net zero targets. Last year, we made our very first appearance at UN COP28 Climate Summit. I'm happy to once again report that with all our successful undertakings, we are well on our way to achieving our mid-range target of 50% carbon emission reductions before the targeted year of 2035. We have already partnered to use 200 megawatts round-the-clock renewable energy at our manufacturing location. 100 megawatts each for Hisar and Jaipur locations. Besides this, we have just initiated discussions for another 200 megawatt renewable energy hybrid project to become one of the greenest stainless steel producers in the world. In the last two fiscals, we have managed to successfully reduce 2.4 lakh tons of carbon dioxide, taking us a step closer towards carbon neutrality and responsible manufacturing. Through our wind, solar hybrid, floating and rooftop solar plants, we are all set to generate 1.9 billion units of clean energy. The inclusion of the green hydrogen plant within the ambit of our sustainability projects will only serve to further this number. Our company's philosophy and growth story has always closely been tied to that of India. We are a firm believer that all of us are equal participants in our endeavors towards the Atmanirbhar and Viksit Bharat. With the inauguration of green hydrogen plant, we are reasserting our commitment to do more and do it better. This is truly a momentous occasion, and I am sure that this will open new chapters of innovation and progress towards a green tomorrow. On behalf of Jindal Stainless, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who has played a part in bringing this project to fruition. From our dedicated employees to our valued partners and stakeholders, this accomplishment is a testament to the power of collaboration and shared purpose. As we embark on this new chapter in our journey towards sustainability, let us continue to work towards a brighter, cleaner, and more sustainable future for us all. I once again thank Honorable Shri Scindia ji and Secretary Sinha Saab for motivating us with their gracious presence. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you. Now we will have a presentation on green hydrogen plant by Shri Amit Bansal.
Namaste, good morning. Welcome, Minister of Civil Aviation and Steel, Shri Scindia ji, Shri Nagendra Nath Sinha ji, and all the media friends. I'll be presenting a short presentation on the green hydrogen project. So Hygenco is a private equity backed company, and we are backed by NEEF Fund. NEEF Fund was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji and his British counterpart Shri David Cameron in 2015. We are lead the climate focus fund and they have invested in Hygenco. Hygenco aims to produce green hydrogen and its derivatives in the coming years. Next. These are some of the highlights of this particular plant. This plant is probably world's first green hydrogen plant, which is based on floating solar. It's a 2.8 megawatt green hydrogen plant, wherein the renewable capacity is installed within the Jindal premises and on the top of reservoir within the Jindal premises. It is expected to reduce emission by 2,700 tons of carbon emission per year. So this is phase one of that particular plant. It can be easily expanded going ahead. The plant is digital twin enabled. It's a state of the art plant. It's run through AI algorithms, and it's hardly manual control. We just need two operators per shift. That's it. The plant is completely revolutionary, and it's the first green hydrogen project in the country to receive private equity funding. Next, please. As per India's national hydrogen mission, we expect 5 million ton of green hydrogen in India by 2030. Hygenco is fully committed to its endeavor. Hygenco has planned to invest $2.5 billion in the next 3 years in this particular sector. We are already putting other multiple projects on ground. Currently, 2 of our projects are under construction in the state of Maharashtra. One green ammonia project is coming in the state of Odisha. So that's as in line with our Prime Minister's vision, that is an export-oriented project. It's coming in SEZ. Next, please. As already briefed upon, one more critical factor of this particular plant is it achieves minute-to-minute temporal correlation. That means whatever renewable power is getting generated right now, it's getting consumed right now. Whereas if you see the European standards, they ask for 1 hour of temporal correlation. That means it's greenest of the green plant. Simply, it has the lowest carbon intensity of green hydrogen. It's better than whatever EU and other Far Eastern countries have benchmarked. Next, please. Going ahead, in sync with our Atmanirbhar Bharat vision, this plant can be scaled up to meet green hydrogen demands even for upstream steel making, like DRI, like in the case of DRI. Currently, we are very confident that for gas-based DRI plants, this plant can be commercially viable, can be made commercially viable. The thing which is there, or the conception that the cost of green hydrogen is far more expensive compared to the gas-based for DRI plant is not that much true right now. We are very confident of achieving a very narrow gap between these two technologies. The future development of green hydrogen is in different sectors like aviation. So this green hydrogen can be used for deployment of sustainable aviation fuels, and Hygenco is already working towards it. We are also partnering with some companies for deployment of hydrogen in fuel cell to power the aviation industry. Next, please. So this is, this I was just mentioning. So hydrogen can find its application for aviation fuel as well as hydrogen fuel cells for partnering. Next, please. So these are just some of the recent updates which Hygenco is involved in to we have signed other offtake contracts also. We are probably only company in the entire world to sign long-term offtake contracts of green hydrogen. Next, please. Yeah, this is just a snapshot of the plant. The plant which has come up. It's definitely first one in the stainless steel sector, but you will find very few green hydrogen projects across the world in any sector. So that's a uniqueness of this. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kansal. Now I request Shri Anand Sinha, Secretary, Ministry of Steel, to address the gathering.
Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation and Steel, Shri Jindal ji, Shri Abhyuday Jindal ji, Managing Director, Jindal Stainless Limited, Shri Amit Bansal ji, CEO and Director of the Hygienico, Shri Yogesh Baveja ji, DGPIB, members of the media, colleagues from the ministries. Thank you very much for inviting me to this momentous occasion. It's very gratifying to hear that your industry is the first one to deploy green hydrogen for the purposes of steel making, and particularly in the stainless steel sector. It's also gratifying to hear that it's one of the first one or one of the frontiers plants for green hydrogen making in the world altogether. So this has come just a year of the launch of the National Green Hydrogen Mission. As you would be aware, sir, that the National Green Hydrogen Mission was approved by the Union Cabinet sometime in the January 2023, and here in the March 2024 we are seeing the launch of this plant and its application steel sector. We are in the steel ministry working in the area of the decarbonization of the steel sector, and for which we have launched about 13 plus 1 total 14 task forces, and which have looked at issues from the supply side, from the demand side, and other enablers that make the decarbonization possible. Use of hydrogen is certainly one of them, and in this for the knowledge and information of the people who may not be aware as to how hydrogen can be used in the steel making, let me digress a little bit. There are three ways in which the hydrogen can be used for the primary steel making. Jindal Stainless uses it for the what we call bright annealing, but for the purposes of the primary steel making, it can be used in three manners. One, where we use its injection in the large furnaces, replacing to some extent the PCI that is used from the doers of the large furnace. Another application is that the gas is substituted to some extent in the DRI making, in the gas-based DRI plants. And thirdly, the area where we are utilizing the hydrogen entirely fully for the DRI making. The concern there is not only availability of the hydrogen and the associated components for injection, storage, and things like that, but also whether or not hydrogen can be fully utilized for the purposes of the DRI making. As the state of technology is still evolving, it's gratifying to hear, Amit, that it is possible, and we shall be working with you. But let me also mention that this technology is currently available with two of the companies which have demonstrated it at scale. So we in the ministry, with the support of the National Green Hydrogen Mission, will be making an effort to develop the IPs and technologies themselves, and hopefully will be a consortium of the integrated steel players, including the stainless steel, as well as the support of the government and the CSIR laboratory like IIM. So all of us together will be making an effort to get the necessary IP and the technology to produce the reactors or the vessels in which the DRI is hydrogen-based DRI could be. So it's an ambitious attempt, and I request Hygenco to also participate in this exercise, being one of the premier most suppliers of the hydrogen and green ammonia. Sir, I'm very happy to see Jindal Stainless taking a lead in many areas, and I went to IIT Mumbai recently and I saw that this firm had sponsored many of its master's students in the IIT Mumbai for the learning the steel making at the premier institute. I think we need many more such company and many more such sponsorship at the level of higher skill development in the frontier areas of steel technology. And I request through this forum that all companies participate in making their workforce, the manpower, more conversant with the state of the art in the technology. Sir, the research and development is what will keep our companies afloat, sir. At this moment, nationally, we spend about 0.7% of the GDP into the R&D, and most of it comes from the government sector. Whereas, as the presentation yesterday or before yourself and your Prime Minister showed that in order to achieve the front rank in the technology, we need to spend about 3.5% of the GDP. So, using this forum, I request everyone to kindly step up their R&D spends in the technological development. If we want to be a large steel making country, producing as much as half of the what the front ranking country does, we need to have our own technology. We need to be ahead in the front area of technology. So request everyone to all the companies to spend more in R&D. So I now close my address with congratulating both the firms, Jindal Stainless as well as Hygenco, for bringing together their plant, first hydrogen plant, which is floating as well as rooftop, producing ammonia which will be used for their food plants. Thank you, and it shall certainly be a demonstration plant where we would like to go and see what the state of technology, how, and this will also become, I guess, a pilot and a demonstration plant for other members of the steel fraternity. Thank you very much. Good wishes to you.
Thank you, sir. It's time for playing a video on green hydrogen plant. Thank you. I now request Honorable Minister Sir to inaugurate the plant virtually and then address the gathering.
I would also request Honorable Minister Steve to please inaugurate the plant.
Seated with me, Secretary Nagendranath Sinha ji, our Managing Director of Jindal Stainless, Abhyuday Jindal ji, Amit Bansal ji, members of the Jindal Stainless family and Hygenco family, friends in the media, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a tremendous pleasure to inaugurate this first green hydrogen plant, which is a coming together of two innovative path-breaking firms in the form of Jindal Stainless and Hygenco, steering the path for the steel sector, not only within India, but in many ways across the world. The world has seen a very, very difficult period in the last 2 to 3 years facing COVID. A period that probably the globe has not seen in the last 100 years. And as we come out of this very difficult period of the pandemic, as we reinvigorate ourselves by furthering trade, commerce, our economies, through that employment, better lives for people across the world, and return to normalcy or greater heights. It is equally important to strive for the future, to go back on the path that humankind has always strided on, which is to break new frontiers, to innovate, to bring about new paradigms. And that period in this journey of Mahabharati from her Amrit Kal to Shatabdi Kal, from 2024 to 2047, must be spearheaded by India, not only for herself and 140 crore people, but also for the rest of the world. The Prime Minister is very clear that this is India's time. Yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. And if indeed this is India's time, in its microcosm, the path that we are walking on today, though a modest beginning, are the early green shoots that evince and show that India, her ingenuity, her innovativeness, her entrepreneurial capability, the capability of firms like Jindal Stainless and Hygenco, we are on that path of creating a paradigm shift for the world. The Prime Minister is very clear in his resolve that as India grows on her path of economic strength, she must also grow as a responsible global citizen, as a member of the global family. And in that growth, must be responsibility towards the environment, must be the path to a greener future. And the Prime Minister is very clear in his resolve that we have to grow, but in a responsible manner. Now, the question often asked is this a new path for India? Is this a new resolve for India? Is this a path that India is embarking on for the first time? And the answer to that is an unequivocal no. Respect for the environment, respect for flora and fauna, respect for Mother Earth, growing synergistically with Mother Earth is been part of our sanskar and sanskriti for thousands of years. Our folklore, our traditions, our religions, all have been ensconced in a firm rooting with our soil, in a firm rooting with our ground. And our growth to over the thousands of years has always been a balanced growth. And it is only in this decade of the Prime Minister's rule, in the last 10 years, during the last 2 terms, that you have seen a new impetus given to this growth, economic growth, but balanced growth. Whether we talk about our government's policies, whether we talk about the agenda that we carved when we talked about Vasudeva Kutumbakam in the G20, and the labeling of that, the heading of that, one earth, one family, one future, very clearly underlined the importance given by India and her leadership in the form of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the environment. Our concept of Panchamrit, our guiding principles, that we grow, but we grow nurturing our biodiversity, nurturing our environment. The mission for life that the Prime Minister himself has spearheaded, lifestyle for environment, which has today become internationally a norm across the world. India was one of the first countries that established, along with France, the International Solar Alliance, wherein 150 countries joined that pursuit. And similarly, this mission for life. And therefore, we must have growth, but it should be also green growth. We must have employment, but it also should be green jobs. And therefore, that very clearly underpins our approach in the Ministry of Steel and the steel sector as well. Our steel sector in India has come a long way, from a production capability of 80 million tons per annum to over 125 million tons per annum. From becoming a net importer to becoming a net exporter, to becoming the second largest steel producer in the world. But along with that, as Secretary mentioned, this balancing with the environment, the National Green Hydrogen Mission, one of the first countries in the world that has put together a 20,000 crore package to spearhead hydrogen production for the world in India. The Prime Minister is very clear that whatever we take up, we must become world leaders. Whether it is the area of National Green Hydrogen Mission, whether it is the area of semiconductors. We just heard about 2 new plants being set up for wafers in India, whether it's the area of drones. So we must catch opportunities early as responsible leaders of the world, harvest those opportunities and become world leaders in those areas. And this is very much a part of that approach. And this project, I must commend Hygenco and Jindal Stainless, is a part of that effort. Almost 500 crores have been carved out to fund projects under the National Green Hydrogen Mission for the steel sector alone over the next couple of years. And as Secretary said, that there are 3 ways that we can look at green hydrogen being an input towards steel making, whether it's through the DRI process, the blast furnace process, or the vertical shaft-based process. And I think a lot of work is being done across all these sectors. Today, this is a very significant milestone. Jindal Stainless has always been at the forefront of innovation. This plant that was set up in 1970 by the patriarch, almost close to about 55 years ago, has been always spearheading new innovation, responsible steel production. And I'm very glad to see Hygenco and Jindal Stainless together, coming together to produce the first hydrogen-based steel production facility with both rooftop and floating. We saw in the video, the water body has a floating solar panel, and that achieves 2 objectives. 1, not land area, but water area is used for solar production. 2, very few people are aware, but that also lowers the level of evaporation of water and therefore conserves water as a resource going forward. So I must commend them on using this capability as well. 2,700 metric tons per annum will be reduced in terms of carbon emissions over 20 years, almost about 54,000 tons. It's a huge beginning for not only Jindal Stainless, but it's a huge beginning for the steel sector. I must say that each facility has its own requirements, and it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. But I believe that this, in many ways, will be a trailblazer plant that will set the example for many, many other plants to follow. In government, we have looked at many ways of greening our sector, whether it is the 13 task forces that we've set up for greening the steel sector. Those task forces have done yeoman's activity over the last couple of months. Those are being compiled into executable action points as we speak. Along with that, the steel scrapping policy that we put in place to make sure that today almost about 20 million tons per annum is produced through steel scrap, almost 20-25% of our production capability. How do we increase that? How do we make sure that more of end-of-life vehicles come into that spectrum? We are working today with 2 state governments to begin with as pilot projects, and we'll make sure that that covers the important areas and states which have that capability in the days to come. So on this day, I must commend both Jindal Stainless and Hygenco for their tremendous contribution to this sector. And this sector, I believe, is on a huge growth path in India. We have tremendous ambitions of increasing our production capacity from 160 million tons to almost 300 million tons by 2030. And we must ensure that green steel is a very, very large part of that as we go forward. This is India's time, and within India, this is the steel sector's time also, I believe, with the tremendous push on infrastructure and capital expenditure being taken forward by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This year, 11 lakh crore capex plan has been put forward in the budget, close to an 11% increase over last year. And I do believe that the steel sector has a very pivotal, fundamental role to play in India's emergence as a world power. We are today the 5th largest economy. In the next 3 to 4 years, we will be ahead of Germany and Japan to become the 3rd largest economy. And our target is today to grow from a $3.5 trillion economy to a $30 trillion economy by our Shatabdi Kal in 2047. And therefore, with those huge ambitions, those huge goals, large goals, it is important that we proceed steadfastly forward. But as we proceed steadfastly forward, it must be a responsible path that we also walk upon for ourselves in India and for the globe. And in that pursuit of that walk, Jindal Stainless and Hygenco have set the trend, and I must congratulate them on this day. And may God give you lots of tailwinds in your path forward as you go down this path of producing green steel, not only for India, but for the world in the days to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite MD JSL and founder Hygenco to present the stainless steel planter to the Honorable Minister, sir.
Sir, always. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
Now the floor is open for a few questions and answers from media on the relevant subject.
Great.
If there is none,
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
there's one.
I'll on the way out. Yeah.
This is the first plan that we have inaugurated today. But in coming years, like in 4